All right, we're back with Trav and this stunning example of a VF Commodore Ute. How nice is this Regal Peacock colour? It looks black, looks green, I just love it. What we're going to do today is quite a simple installation. We're just going to install a single channel dash cam at the moment, and we're going to use an OBD connector. So we're actually not going to affect any wiring in the vehicle. This little adapter is really handy, especially if you've got an electric car or a hybrid that you don't want to mess with any wiring, or you don't have someone qualified, or you don't feel safe doing. It's going to be simple and straightforward. In this installation, we're only going to need two simple tools. Our Boeing pry tool, I've conveniently put a bit of heat shrink on there, acts as a bit of a grip, but also makes it easy to see and easy to make sure it's mine and not someone else's. And some alcohol. I've just got some isopropyl alcohol there and a microfiber to clean the glass. Make sure we get a nice adhesion with the double-sided mount. So let's jump into it. All right, we've got the doors open here. We've identified that the owner wants the camera mounted about here. So what I'm going to do is grab our alcohol, give it a spray, clean the glass. We're going to need to pop this pillar trim off, this side trim off, and we've got an OBD connector down here we'll plug our harness into. So what I think I'll do is I'll start by cleaning the glass, I'll mount the camera, I'll come back down and then work my way up from the OBD port with the cable, making it nice and neat. That way I can hide any excess in this easily accessible side trim. I did mention, I must have lied, but you will also need either cable ties or a bit of tape. In this case, I'm going to use some loom tape because it's nice and soft and not going to rattle on us. So let's jump into it. All right, so we've got our dash cam here. Don't forget, peel the protective layer off the lens. I have seen many times in the past, and guilty of it myself, you'll go and view the footage and it looks all a bit skew-whiff, and that's because you've still got that protective layer on. The next step, peel our double-sided tape off and then position the camera on the glass. Be sure to get it nice and straight. We can angle this guy here up to suit the angle of the windscreen so we get a nice clear footage. Gotta love these Boeing tools. Make sure you jump on the site, get a couple for yourself. Something you really want to take note of and make sure you do is getting your cables for your dash cam under this airbag. This vehicle's got a curtain airbag. If we go over the top and the car's ever in an accident or something happens or the airbag is deployed, it's going to blow out at you. You need to make sure we get that camera connector underneath, route it nice and safe, and you'll have hassle-free motoring. Now we've got our cable routed nice and neat. I've come off at a right angle to make sure there's a little bit of slack on the cable so it's not under any tension. That also frees up coming out on the other side for the owner if they decide to do the cabin camera or the rear camera at a later date. Now all that's left is to clip this pillar trim in. We'll tape up the excess down in the side trim there and plug in the OBD port. Something to point out, this side trim pops off really easily and it gives you access to the fuse box. What we've done here is make sure that it's basically the same principle. These cables will be tucked in here and really easily accessible should you ever need to access the fuses. Now that that's all done and ran, our last little connection is this here to plug into the OBD port. Make sure that is your last connection. We plug that guy up. Now we just need to cycle our ignition on, off again, and that will identify when the vehicle's running to engage the remote triggering. All right, here we are in the vehicle. We've got the ignition turned on. We've got the camera powered up. We're going to go through how to use the app with Rod. Let's go.
Okay, so first things first, this is the same for both iPhone and for Android. The app we need to install is called VueroidHub, and when installing the app, make sure that you allow all the permissions that are asked by the phone. And the next thing to do is to turn on the Wi-Fi on the dash cam.
Display on.
And the dash cam says Wi-Fi is turning on. After a couple of seconds, it'll come up with the message that Wi-Fi is on. Wait till we get that message.
Wi-Fi is ready.
Wi-Fi is ready.
Please connect using the mobile app.
We open our app. And the first thing we're going to do is find the device. Okay, so it's found the device here. It's an S1-4K. We're going to select that. And it's saying, please select yes, which means pressing the blue button on the dash cam. We press that and Wi-Fi is connected. It's that simple. There's no password. This is a simple Bluetooth connection. So that's it. We're ready to explore the app.
So as we can see here on the app, there is a million different things that can be done. Probably the most common is you might use the live view when you're setting it up to make sure you've got that lens angle correct.
Yep.
You want to get as big a viewing angle as possible.
So,
most common is going to be though actually accessing videos.
So the live view setup is just press live view, and after a couple of seconds our front cam video, just the warehouse here at Australian Car Audio. It also keeps track of distance and speed and all sorts of things like that as well. This is all imprinted in the videos for future reference where you may need that sort of proof. To go to settings on the camera, we just go here. Look, there's a couple of things from the stock firmware that I would probably recommend changing. The first one is I would change the bit rate to high. The frequency for playback is 50 Hertz for Australia. We're not in the US. Audio recording is on. There's a lot of sensitivity settings. And obviously at the moment with this one, we've only got the front camera in, so we'll turn off the interior and the rear cameras. And we're also going to put in event protection. So events are things of impact to the vehicle. Look, this may be something as simple as a pothole, but it can also be a collision, and you don't want them being deleted. You will have to manually delete them from time to time, so that's entirely up to yourself. Voltage control is another important one. This is a modern dash cam, so it has provision for internal combustion engines and for hybrids and for EV vehicles. The EV vehicles and hybrid cars on the Australian market at the moment do tend to have very small 12-volt batteries, and they are very sensitive to dash cams, which is really where you need to explore the option of the battery pack.
So on those EVs, you probably set the voltage cutoff quite high.
You set it quite high, yeah, because they're not like a traditional car where the battery voltage will gradually drop and the car might just be a little bit slower to start. EVs tend to either have on or off when it comes to the 12-volt battery. So look, there are a few other things, personal things, whether you want your voice alerts and event tones on, the little security lights and status lights and stuff like that. One of the really interesting things with this dash cam is it has geofencing. What that means in this context is a lot of people in the past have said that why does the dash cam need to be on when it's safely in the garage at home? And people will just turn the dash cam off. And unfortunately, we've seen instances where people forget to turn the dash cam back on. And that's, you know, Murphy's Law dictates when it's going to be needed. With the geofencing, you can put the car in your garage or safely on your property, set that as a GPS waypoint, and then every time when you get home, you put the car in the garage, the dash cam automatically turns off, and then when you drive out the driveway the next morning, the dash cam comes back on. So that's a new feature in Vueroid as well. The one thing that I suggest to everybody who's buying a dash cam is get to know your product. Play with the app, learn the features of the product, and if you've got questions, call for tech support so that if something does happen, you know what to do.
That about wraps it up. We've done all our settings on the app there. Rod's gonna jump in, take it for a spin, and we're gonna get some actual footage to show you guys how good 4K at 60 frames a second looks.
What a day!